Thank you, Cinda. I think you can tell from all of the speeches so far that really this is a partnership that needed to come together to make this happen. And I can tell you that in the Patrick Murray administration, that is the way we will be doing land conservation and preservation into the future, because we need to be able to take our limited resources at the state and federal level. We need to coordinate our monies, and I think we've done a pretty good job on this. I want to thank Ed Lambert from DCR and Jack Murray and Peter Church, and I know Mike Fleming, who runs the legacy program for us, and all the DCR employees. Mary Griffin, who's been introduced, but her and Fish and Wildlife and its board, many people that are here. First, we need to be coordinated, and when you look at the maps, it all makes sense because we put together contiguous pieces that do make sense from a preservation point of view. So I think we are stepping to the plate with a new model to be better partners, but we certainly need the private landowners to step up, and we've got a great example of that today. But we also have the land trusts that are the eyes and ears, and in many cases, in most cases, are the first on the ground building those relationships with our private landowners. And I'd like to call on two of our partners here to say a few words. One has already been introduced, so from the Kestrel Land Trust, its executive director, apparently the one who got the big one done, Kristin DeBoer.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see so many friends here, and it's such an incredible honor, a humbling honor, to follow the governor, the chief of the U.S. Forest Service, Secretary Sullivan, and President Cinda Jones of Coles. This moment in time and this place on the planet encompasses what the hopes and dreams of Kestrel Land Trust has for the Connecticut River Valley. It's the gathering of landowners, community members, board members, volunteers, philanthropists, public agencies. Those are the people that make conservation happen. And in this place that we see behind us, I want you all to look at the mountain for a second. And I also want you to look at the farm before you, because Gwen and Bill Mitchell offered to have this event here because they have the best view of the mountain in Leverett. And we thank you for that. But this connection between farmland and woodlands, there are conservation lands that Rattlesnake Gutter Trust helped protect to our east, North Amherst, Cushman Brook Conservation Area. It's that network of public and private conserved lands that sustain the rural integrity and ecological integrity of the valley, and that's what Kestrel's hopes and dreams are about. Last week I attended an event where the U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar, shined a national spotlight on the Connecticut River Valley and its watershed by designating it our country's first national blueway through the America's Great Outdoors Initiative. And it's rare moments like that one last week and this one today where the local land trust and all the people who live here realize that this place matters not only to us, but it matters to the human communities and the ecosystems that connect us across the country. This place has national significance as well as local significance. So for Kestrel Land Trust, we were founded in 1970, and we rely heavily on maps. And so this historic conservation project, like most of our work, started on a map. The University of Massachusetts has developed the Conservation and Analysis Priority System, which looks at the forests of Massachusetts to identify the largest contiguous blocks. Brushy Mountain stands out as one of the areas of the highest ecological integrity, along with the likes of Mount Holyoke Range, Mount Toby, Mount Sugarloaf, and the Quabbin Reservoir, many of which are protected. So on this map, Kestrel saw an opportunity to protect more than 3,000 acres. But maps only take you so far. They can get you lost if you just stick to the map. So it's the people who own the land that have the power to conserve them. Normally, an area this size would be privately owned by dozens of landowners, and this area was owned by the single landowner, the Jones family. And these vast woods have persisted because of the care that family has put into their land. And it's not just here in Leverett, it's the hill towns of Pelham and Belchertown and Amherst. And it's that network of forests that we all love so much that we really entrust to the Coles family. And when the current generation and Cinda Jones took the helm, I feel like she brought a new level of vision and leadership to reach out to the conservation community, to collaborate to do voluntary conservation, which is what land trusts do. There's other ways to conserve land, but we do fair market value, voluntary conservation, and that worked for this family, and it works for a lot of landowners. And it was through Cinda's initiative and courage to take this step to preserve this land that this conservation restriction happened. Conservation of all private land can only happen with the leadership of Cinda, of landowners like Cinda and the Jones family, who have the patience and foresight to commit to their farms and woodlands as they are now to keep them that way forever. This project would also not have happened without the exceptional group of partners that everyone has mentioned. There's no way Kestrel could have done this alone. Absolutely no way. The agencies and organizations that brought the expertise and clout and financial investment made the difference. I want to point out a few people who haven't been mentioned yet. A lot of people worked behind the scenes. Bob O'Connor at EOEA, Mike Fleming at Forest Legacy, Mary Griffin, of course, but also Craig McDonnell, Sam Lovejoy, Christy Edwards, and Dane Crook, all of the Department of Fish and Game. Jennifer Melville and Peter Howell of the Open Space Institute, which provided a large portion of the private funds for this project, and all the board and staff members at Kestrel Land Trust who had to hear about the process and behind the scenes and give me the advice to get through it. But most of all, it was the individuals who sat at the Coles round table for 4 years who made the difference. Cinda, of course, Sarah LaCour and Shane of Coles, Christy Edwards, and Elaine Peteroy and Rich Hubbard of Franklin Land Trust. And together we had hundreds of meetings, which built the trust and the collaborative spirit and the camaraderie that we needed to succeed. And during that 4 years, we developed friendships. And several of us, 4 of us in fact, lost a parent during that time period. I lost my mom, Cinda lost her father, and it was in these moments of grief that sometimes work becomes less meaningful. We focus on our family, work seems meaningless sometimes. But this work, this conservation work, became more meaningful because it caused us all to focus on the meaning of legacy. So because of death and life, we all have the cause to ask ourselves, what are we going to leave for our children and our communities? And all of us can ask that of ourselves. Kestrel Land Trust is committed to working with landowners who want to leave a legacy in their farms and woodlands. And the conservation of the forest, the Paul C. Jones Working Forest, has been the biggest project that Kestrel and our partners have ever completed, but we're committed to doing more. We, Kestrel, have pledged to conserve at least 1,000 acres each and every year for the next 10 years by collaborating with our partners. Because of this work, we know that this 3,486 acres will be protected forever, remain a forest forever, farmland forever, forest forever. This is Paul's legacy, your legacy, and I'm proud to have shared in it. Finally, in closing, many of you, the governor spoke, the U.S. Forest Service chief spoke of the economic benefits of conservation, and those are very important, the habitat benefits to biodiversity, the acres, the animals. But in closing, I'd like to speak about the intangible benefits, our quality of life, the solitude, the emotional and spiritual connection to the land that I think we can all tap into at one point or another. So I'm going to leave you with a poem. It's called My Help is in the Mountain. I actually read this poem on one of the final days of our negotiation to give me the strength to make it all happen. So I'll read that to you now. My help is in the mountain where I take myself to heal. I find a rock with sun on it and a stream where the water runs clear. So I must stay for a long time until I have grown from the rock and the stream is running through me, and I cannot tell myself from one tall tree. Then I know that nothing touches me, nor makes me run away. My help is in the mountain, that I take away with me. Thank you.